I'd like to show you the new Taurus G3C, the successor, if you will, to the Taurus G2C, which I've been carrying this for over a year now and put thousands of rounds through. Completely pleased with this. I love this pistol. A lot of, well, some anyway, people on the internet like to talk about the stock trigger not being really great, but I've had no problems with it, found it comfortable. The sights are plastic and I happen to like them. I've only had to tighten the screw twice. It's the only problem at all I've had with this pistol. The G3C is going to be mostly the same. It's going to have almost exactly the identical shape and size to it. Really the only differences I can see eyeballing it, the slight differences, and I haven't looked into verify it, but some of these grip areas look a little bit larger on the G3C, and then the thumb well here looks a little bit, just ever so slightly larger. I don't really find it to be enough of a problem to notice a difference when I'm shooting the pistols, but it looks like it to the naked eye, but not a real big problem. One difference is going to be on the top. On the G2C you have this tactile loaded chamber indicator, which I actually like that. I do find myself every now and then running my finger across the top of the slide, and that works for that, but this, they changed it to just a little peephole in here. Some people prefer this. It doesn't really matter to me. It's definitely not a make or break deal. But as far as carrying it goes, it's going to have the same dimensions. So the weight of it, the length of the handle, as far as printing issues go, it's going to be the exact same. So if you're comfortable carrying the G2C, the G3C is going to be just as good for you on that regard. The magazines are interchangeable, though technically not exactly the same either. You can use either one in either gun. The only difference that I've seen or even heard about is going to be on the G3C mags. There's going to be a slight indentation here, matched by one on the grip itself. That way if you have a jam, which I've never had in the G2C, but if it happens, you'll have a little bit more purchase to grab onto to rip the mag out. Both 12-round mags, 10-round variants are available, of course, for those states. The G3C does have one up on the G2C, in that it comes with 3 of the magazines, which these aren't at all the most expensive pistol magazines I know of or even have, but it's really nice, I think, especially in this budget range, to include 3 magazines. That gets a nice touch for people to not necessarily have to feel the need to immediately go out and buy extra magazines. Coming with 3 gives you one in the gun itself, an extra one to carry if you do that, and just another spare one. Can't have too many magazines. Comes in the standard Taurus cardboard box with all the standard paperwork, the manual, the cable lock. Nothing special there. The sights are I think the biggest difference. The trigger is definitely different too. As far as when I'm actually shooting it, I don't dislike the G2C trigger. It's not uncomfortable for me. I can feel a difference when I think about it, but I don't find it bad enough on the G2C side or that much better on the G3C side to have a really noticeable difference when I'm not focused on it in the act of shooting. But one thing that is definitely noticeably different are the sights on here. The front sight, technically different, but same kind of premise. It's just going to be a simple dot. The rear sight is where the differences really lie. You have the fully adjustable for windage and elevation on the G2C, plastic 2-dot sight there. And on the G3C, it's going to have the blacked out metal sight. Some people like that. This is actually the first pistol I have owned that has those type of sights on it. And I've only shot this once, as I'll include some shooting film in this video. I don't dislike it initially, at least. It's functional. It doesn't have dots. I might prefer dots because I'm used to them, but I shot it as well as I expected to for the first few mags out of it. On that note, this was the first 3 mags out of it. I did have a few stray. Oops, sorry, that way. I did have a few strays here, little one here, but for the first few mags out of this pistol, this is definitely a decent enough defensive grouping to be able to stop a threat if you needed to. A fist-size hole at about 8 yards. I did want to test it with several different types of ammo. The first magazine I put through it had 115 grain ball ammo, round nose, and 147 grain flat nose, some hollow points all in there, and I also ran a mag through it of steel case ammo. And I happened to do the same on the G2C with a mag of steel case, which I hadn't done through this before. Both of them handled it perfectly fine. The only problem at all was obviously ammo, and it was with this round. Had a very good primer strike on it. I don't know if maybe that'll be visible there, but definitely a strong primer strike, and it happened to be through the G2C here. Just dud round. Couldn't do anything about that, but as far as the rounds that went off, both of these pistols ejected it completely fine. So I'm not going to be as leery of steel case ammo in the future, especially in the ammo craziness right now. If that's the option I have to buy, that's going to go through these pistols a little bit more often now. I'll sprinkle in brass most of the time, but well, I should say sprinkle in the steel to supplement it. The length of the barrel, the grippiness is a little bit different. The takedown's the same. Really, these are just a next half step in evolution, if you will. Another slight difference, and what makes a difference for holsters, Kydex holsters anyway. This G3C does not fit in my Kydex holster for the G2C, and other people's that I have seen them try to fit it in did not fit. I did see one that did. It's going to depend on the tolerances or the tightness, how it forms to the G2C, as to if it will take a G3C in here. But I'll just go ahead and show that real quick. This is the G2C. Fits in perfectly fine, obviously. And the G3C, I'm not going to force it in, but it gets that far. It almost works. But the difference is going to be in the front end of the slide design. On the G2C here, you have these fluted areas. On the G3C, because they added the front slide serrations for those that like to do press checks, they could not do the fluting, obviously. So it has a flat line here, just long enough, just different enough to not fit a lot of the Kydex holsters that are formed specifically to the G2C. Now, if you have a leather holster or like an Uncle Mike's nylon holster or something, it's most likely going to fit, I would suspect. On the note of the sights, before I forget again, these are Glock sights, which is, as much as I like the stock sights on here, and there are some night sight upgrade options for the G2C, the G3C has the Glock sights, which opens up a lot of options for aftermarket add-ons. The front and back both being Glock sights, you can throw on, at 50 or, well, I don't even know what all prices there are. Going to be a wide range of prices, I'm sure. But for $50 even, it's not a bad deal to get some Glock night sights on here and knock them in place and have an upgraded G3C. With this being depends on where you find it right now, if you can find it. This one was probably around 300 or so. But if you can find it under that, that's even better, because the MSRP on that's, I believe it was $305. So the lower the better. It's always nice to save some money there. But to have it out of the box be good, and easily and cheaply upgraded as far as the sights go with the Glock sight compatibility, that's even better. And this being in that budget range, I would personally choose this over a Glock probably almost every day. I really enjoy these pistols. I find them to be reliable. I'm not carrying this G3C yet until I get some more rounds through it, but so far I have no indication that it's not going to be just as reliable as the G2C has for me. Once I get some more rounds through this, I have no doubt I'm going to enjoy carrying this one as well. I hope that was a little bit informative. We didn't go over some of the details, but it's all pretty standard. The takedown is the same. I'll go ahead and do that. And it's going to be exactly the same as it is for the G2C here. Comes with the plastic striker assembly and same form. Now, one slight difference, and I don't know why it's this way. It works this way with my G3 as well, and I've seen other people notice this, where it's not, you have to get it just right to get it to line up. It's easy to kind of get it to not, well, that time I couldn't do it wrong, but you have to get it just right on the slide. It's a little bit easier on the G2C to reassemble, but I mean, it's not at all a big deal. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Have the new Taurus G3C here, and this will be of the first shots I'm firing out of it. I thought I'd just kind of give it a crazy mag. First mag through is going to have first 315 grain round nose ball, then there's 315 grain hollow point, 347 grain flat nose, and then 3 more round nose 115 grain. All right. I'll take pictures of the target here later. That didn't have any problem cycling those things at all. I'm going to go with 1 mag of all 115 grain round nose, and then to give it another little bit of a test, I'll do some steel case ammo. It didn't seem to have any problem at all with any of those things, and feels like I expected it would, like I'm shooting the G2C. Now, the trigger being slightly different, in the action of shooting it, I don't happen to notice a big difference between the two. I will be shooting the G2C, but it's performing as I expected it would. Familiar feel to it. Not grouping as good as I do with the G2C, but a brand new gun out of the box, just added a few drops of lube is all. So once it gets broken in and a little more practice with this individual unit, I expect it'll group a lot better. And the grouping is definitely good enough for defensive purposes if you're going to use this as a carry gun.